Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 52, the podcast about our lives and love of pop culture. I'm your host, VyseTheBold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And this is...
This is Retro Gamer.
Whoa.
Straight from Ireland.
Yeah, all the way.
Nobody ever said you didn't go all the way. But yeah, this is a special 1-year anniversary for Corrective Consciousness. It's a big deal for me. We haven't missed a week either, which is great. Every single week we've produced a podcast, and we're coming up on that for Reactive as well. Shouldn't be too long.
Nope.
So very proud to have this project keep on going for this amount of time, and the consistency's been great. We haven't missed a week, so
Yeah.
I'm glad to have all of our listeners here that have stuck with us the whole time, and I look forward to keep doing it. This is great. So having said that, Lotus, why don't you get us going here?
Well, all right.
What'd you do this week?
I want to do this week. Well, at long last, the videos haven't gone public yet, but I've finally started uploading the Skies of Arcadia Legends playthrough for patrons, so that has begun. So at long last, the 100th Let's Play is now, it's going online. So I'm super hyped about that because I've been wanting to finally put that up for quite some time. The game is amazing. So at long last, the fruits of my labors are going to become known. Also, it's like especially good for those who have not played Skies of Arcadia or are not familiar with it, because everything at that point will be new to them. So that ought to be super cool.
I wanted to ask you, did you take any particular notice of the sound weirdness of that version of the game? Did it sound weird to you at all while you were playing?
I mean, I don't really have anything to compare it to. So,
okay.
I know you told me that the overworld map sounded a little different from the Dreamcast version, but, that's just the only version I've ever heard, the GameCube one, so I'm like, alright.
So the way that I think it works is that I think that it's sped up because it might be related to revolutions of the GameCube disc versus a Dreamcast disc.
Yeah, they're only...
That might have something to do with it. But.
The only sound weirdness I can really think of is... and for all I know, this is from both versions, but it's still weird. There's a person whom you eventually meet named Gilder, and he's a guy who wears red and uses guns. Sometimes
I love that character.
He's fun, but
he's
sometimes when you win a battle, everyone has their own little victory quote. And one of Gilder's quotes is really weird. It just comes out weird, where he does his victory pose, but he doesn't say anything. There's just an extra beat or two, and then just a little bit too loud, he adds, at the last second, "I wish they were all that easy," and it just sounds off about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, it feels mistimed and a little too loud. It sounds like it was added in post or something. I don't know. Everything else about Gilder sounds fine, but that one thing always threw me, even when I was in high school. I was like, alright, I guess that sounds different.
Sounds like a timing bug.
Yeah,
it could be.
Version of the game.
It could be.
Yeah, and it's I should let our audience know it's a very minor foible. I generally think that the GameCube version is better.
Yeah, the GameCube version has all the Dreamcast DLC plus some extras, and the parts of the Dreamcast you don't get, little VMU games, those games, I mean, you can't play them, but on the Dreamcast version, they would unlock some items. Those items are instead attainable in other ways in the GameCube version, so you're not missing the rewards from them. The GameCube one really is the way to go. There's only that little minor quirk.
I think the big bonus is the lack of frequency in the random battles compared to the Dreamcast.
So I hear, and that freaking blows my mind, because sometimes it's not consistent, but sometimes it just feels like you leave one battle and enter another, and I'm like, the Dreamcast has more? You've got to be kidding me. That's out of control.
It's kind of crazy on the Dreamcast, and the way the Dreamcast works as well, you can hear the disc wearing up, and you're just like, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah, that is one thing about the Dreamcast, is that is a loud system.
Yeah, you know what? But I had a lot of memories back in middle school of playing my Dreamcast, and I love that kind of it's revving its engine. It's right about to go.
No, I
it's
get
gonna
it.
be great. But especially for the epic ship battles.
Yeah,
particularly thought that when the Dreamcast was roughing up for those, it was particularly
it's coming.
fun.
It's just kind of funny because I've gotten a couple of comments on some of my PS3 Let's Plays, or maybe it was PS2, where people are like, "Oh man, I think I could hear your system in the background. It's louder than I thought." But like, dude, if I played the Dreamcast though, like, man, there's no fixing that.
Yeah, Dreamcast is a pretty loud system.
Yeah,
especially like it just goes.
Disc drive, it's crazy.
yeah, it's pretty intense. But yeah, so Skies of Arcadia has gone up. So at the time of this recording, which is the Monday night, my second episode has gone up. So we're still in the early stages. Episode 1 was getting to know the characters by their actions, like invading that enemy ship. And episode 2, I'm just taking a look at our home, Pirate Isle, like, and I become aware of.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great, and I become aware
Crescent Island, yeah.
Oh, no, that's not for a million years.
That's later, isn't it?
That's way late. No, Pirate Isle, but we become aware of what the plot's supposed to be, like the get the MacGuffin portion of the plot. Like, we become aware that, oh, that's what I need to do. Oh, okay. So like, if memory serves, I think episode 3 is going to be the first proper dungeon of the game. The Shrine Island. Which was really great aesthetic. I forgot how good the music in the game was, because I remember that I liked the music, but I don't remember what it sounded like. So going through the game again, it was kind of like a wave of like, oh yeah, that. Like, it's really great. I especially like the there are 2 ship battle themes, and we're not going to get to those for a while, but I particularly enjoyed the big boss battle theme, like not the enemy pirate ship, but like the actual bosses, which were quite fun. It just has a real kind of epic feel to it. So Skies of Arcadia is super cool. Otherwise,
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, great. So otherwise, a couple of days ago, I did a public stream, not a Patreon one, but just for everybody. And my original goal was I wanted to do the Time Crisis series, because I've been itching to do that for over like almost a year at this point. And so, I was like, you know what? I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to play Time Crisis, the original, because even though I've beaten it in the arcade, I've never actually played it on the PS1, even though I've had it for a long time. So I finally streamed Time Crisis 1.
Such a good game. And a good port, too.
The game is good. The port is good. But, like, I mean, obviously it's a light gun game from the beginning. Like,
yeah,
that's the whole...
The controller option is not very good.
Yeah, the game is almost unplayable with a controller. So if you're playing it on like a PS3 on an HD TV, that game is almost unplayable, because the cursor moves pretty quickly, but it's only like a pixel. It was clearly supposed to be like the gun crosshair, and you can't adjust your cursor speed, which is really frustrating. And the time...
No, even on a CRT, I remember it being just a really tiny blue dot.
Yeah.
That's all it is, yeah.
Yeah, but like manipulating that, like you can't lightly tap the D-pad, because even if you do, it just goes shooting in some direction. Like, you can't fine-tune your aim with the controller. And the timer is brutal. What I did not realize is that, obviously, when you get hit, you lose a life. But if time runs out, then you actually have to restart the stage. It's like, oops, time ran out. It's not like you lose a life and the timer resets. Like, you restart the stage. So I game overed on, like, section 3 of stage 1, which is ridiculous. So I was like, well, done with this.
I did want to let you know that there are a couple companies that do make GunCons that work with LCD screens.
No kidding.
But I think they only work for GunCon 1 game or GunCon 2 games, not GunCon 1 games, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I might still have to wait on that.
Is 2 compatible with GunCon 1 though?
I don't know, because I heard PS1s can take PS2 controllers, but I don't know about GunCons.
Yeah. I think maybe GunCon 1 is compatible with GunCon 2 games for sure, but I'm not sure.
That's kind of funny, actually.
I don't think 2 is compatible with 1.
That's too bad. I don't even have a GunCon 1.
So, like, GunCon 2 games, I think, can be played on an LCD screen if you buy one of those guns. So, like,
Time
Crisis 2 and Time Crisis 3 and Crisis Zone, you'll be able to play on them.
No, GunCon 2 is not. It's the one on the PlayStation 3 which has the sensors. GunCon 2 works like a GunCon 1. You need a CRT.
No. They make a GunCon 2, a special GunCon 2 that works with.
It's not official.
Yeah. It's like a Hong Kong kind of thing.
But with Time Crisis 2 and 3 though, like I can play those just fine with a controller. Like maybe I would be a little better with a Gunn con, but I can wreck those games with a controller. But Time Crisis 1, like absolutely not. Like there's no hope.
Did you play both modes or just?
I tried the other mode, but I mean same problem. I can't get anywhere.
The other mode's great though. Like
it is.
That was one of the best parts of that port. Because like they added like this whole other mode that had like a ton of branching paths.
Yeah, which is super cool.
It's really good. Yeah,
it's kind of like Mercs on the Mega Drive or Genesis. Sorry.
Yeah.
You got a whole extra game in there.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But after Time Crisis 1 was it was amusing to try, but it was a miserable failure. I moved on to Crisis Zone, which was specifically designed for the PS1. Obviously, still favors.
Oh, you mean Project Titan?
What did I say?
Crisis Zone.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Crisis Zone is PS2. But yeah, Project Titan was specifically designed for the PS1. Obviously still favors a Gunn con, but you can play that with a controller. And I was able to beat it. Like, I played it on easy mode, so it was one of those annoying things where you beat, like, level 4 or 5 or something, and then the game just stops, and it goes, play it on normal for, like, to actually beat it. And I'm like, God damn it.
You know what? That game actually reminded me a little bit more on Virtual Cop than it did about.
No, I actually felt that vibe. You know what made me think Virtua Cop was when you shoot the glass.
Reticles.
Well, not even when you shoot. Well, actually, that is true. The zooming in reticle, but also when you shoot the glass, just the way the glass broke, just kind of reminded me of that because I don't think you really get much of that in Time Crisis 1.
Yeah, and I think the set pieces are very much more like Virtual Cop than they were like the original.
Yeah, I could see that. But like the next time I do some kind of stream, I'm probably going to move on to Time Crisis 2, which I can actually beat and is super fun, and then Time Crisis 3, which is even better, and I can beat that too. So I'm hyped about those. Other than that, this is a blast from the past. Remember how last week I had said that I'd gotten some Super Solvers games like Treasure Cove? Yeah. Well, continuing with just old school downloads, this is a major nostalgia blast for me. I don't know if you guys ever tried this out, but have you heard of Stellar 7?
Oh yeah, that's like a tank game, right, for the Sega CD?
Maybe Sega CD, definitely 3DO.
I've never heard of it.
It's weird. Like
it's
graphics,
like one of those tank sims from that era that's kind of related to Battlezone almost.
But the graphics, I mean, I didn't know about it at the time. I don't think the game had even come out yet. But the graphics have that polygon feel of Star Fox, the original Star Fox. It just kind of looks like that, sort of, except it's a little bit smoother, I think, because it was, for PC. But my history with that game is like beating level 1 and then game overing. Like we played it, we had it back on the day on some 3.5 inch floppy disks, and
it's Stellar Fire, one of the sequels, is for Sega CD.
That's what it is, Stellar Fire. I should look into that because I didn't know it was a sequel. But in any case, Stellar 7, our computer was not really prepared for it when I played it way back in the day, so we had really low frame rate. But I didn't know about that because I just thought that was the frame rate. Like, I didn't know any better. And there was like no music and everything was really slow. So when I tried Stellar 7 a few days ago, it felt super fast and the animation was smooth.
It's
and
not sluggish at all, huh?
And the moment I turn on the game, there's music, and I'm like, I've never heard this before. And this game's like 20 years old, so that was pretty entertaining. I still played level 1, and I died on level 1, but I just tried the game for like 2 minutes, and I was like, hey, I remember this. Wow! So it was just kind of cool to see. And also, this is a real blast from the past. This is a game that I don't think I ever actually played. I just saw a couple of my classmates try it in elementary school, and they never really got that far because I think the game was a little ahead of us at the grade we were in. But do you guys know about the Secret Island of Dr. Quandary?
No.
That's another Super Solver game, isn't it?
No, but close enough. It's by Mech. It's not the Learning Company. It's MECC, the guys who did Number Munchers. It's a different edutainment game.
Yeah, I just remember it from that era. Just like he's supposed to be a mad scientist, right? Dr.
Yeah,
Quandary.
it was definitely a dark game for like the Number Munchers company. But what was kind of funny is
they also made Reader Rabbit, if I remember right too.
Oh, that was them. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
but that might have been Learning Company actually. But
the Learning Company definitely did Incredible Machine, though, right?
That sounds right. But with Quandary, though, like, you start the game... I didn't realize just how dark it was. You start the game just going up to Mysterious Carnival, and it's like, here, throw the ball at these targets. See if you can get the high score. And it was a little clunky on that. Like, I had to, like, find out how fast I threw the ball, and like it took me a while before I could hit anything at all. I wasn't used to it. Also, the game's running on Windows 10, like via DOSBox, so like there might be some issues with how fast it runs compared to like how it originally would have run, maybe, or maybe I just suck. I don't know, but like it was really funny because
get good.
Pretty much, it's really funny because if you hit all the appropriate targets, then the game kind of just goes. But if you don't, he's like, well, you know what? Maybe give it another shot. You're not. That wasn't so great. Try it one more time. If you mess it up twice, he like straight up calls you a Nimrod, and that really cracked me up. It's like, wow, asshole. And on the third attempt, if you mess it up, which
you're not a hunter at all.
Yeah, if you mess it up on the third attempt, which I did, then he'll say, well, you know, you got persistence. We'll just fuck it, start the game. But the basic idea is that there are these 3 dolls, and they all have corny names like B, Ginner, like stuff like that to like label the difficulties. But when you choose one, you like, I guess your soul gets sucked into the doll's body, and you're just walking around as that doll, and you're like, I gotta get my body back by solving like, little kids puzzles. Like, can you guess the combination of this lock in 10 tries? I'll wink when you get one number right, and I'll smile if you get a number right in the right position, like, etc., etc. They're like kids puzzles that were a little too advanced for me when I was in like the 2nd or 3rd grade or something, but like, it's a kiddie. Yeah, I mean, it's a kiddie entertainment game, but like, what a dark premise though. It's just like, whoa, okay, thanks mech, thanks number muncher guys, like Jesus. The funny thing is though, when you're throwing the ball at the targets at the very beginning, it's like, try to hit the troggles, and they're the enemies and number munchers. And I was like, hey, we slightly cross over, I guess. The last thing I wanted to bring up, though, was my Nintendo 64. I actually, I had mine in the shop. I actually got it back today. I just got the HDMI mod installed for it, which is
did you have that done at Classic Game Junkie?
That I did.
That's so funny because I talked to him today about it.
Really?
Yeah,
you were there today?
Yeah.
Oh,
and he said, I thought I had this one promised to somebody, but I just installed one for somebody who just came by.
When did you get there? We were there at like 6.
Oh, we had just missed you. Missed you.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, we were there at 7. Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah.
Because
we had
you had just left.
Yeah, we got to the area to the area like a quarter after 5. Got something to eat real quick, and then
wow, that was close.
Yeah, like Mr. Ryu stopped and picked up his like PS4, which at this point is irreparable. So he got a replacement PS4. He was able to get it a little cheaper than normal because he sold some stuff to cover some of the cost, but had to get a new PS4.
That's such a shame.
Yeah, like he's got most of his data saved in the cloud, but like whatever local data there was from like other accounts or whatever, it's just like too bad, which is unfortunate. But he still has his PSP 1000 in the shop because I think he was getting a replacement case for it or something like that. And meanwhile, I still have my GameCube in the shop because I wanted to get that HDMI out modded as well, because at this point that's actually cheaper than just buying the component cables for it. Which is ridiculous.
And the FrameMeister isn't very good with progressive 480p. It's not the best.
Yeah, but with the N64 though, they actually had it ready for me about last week, but I wanted to see if I could kill 2 birds with one stone and just head over with Mr. Ryu, which we did. But I tested out the N64 just for a little bit, like for literally like 5 minutes. I just put in like Ocarina of Time. I mean, it's definitely a bigger picture, so like it does upscale to whatever you choose. Like you could set it to 480. They're even kind enough to do 576 for like the PAL resolutions if you have those. And you could also set it to 720 or 1080p, and you can futz around with all sorts of stuff like slight gamma boost, yes or no. Scan lines, there's 2 kinds of scan lines. There's the ability to slightly zoom in the picture a little bit to like cover any area that would not have been covered by a CRT, like to get rid of like the black borders like up and below.
The big thing is that it clears out the filter that's usually on the games, right?
I think so. I'm gonna have to look a little harder at old footage.
The games are a lot cleaner.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at my like old footage. Like I'm gonna have to look at something probably that's not Ocarina of Time, like maybe Mischief Makers, which is just like here's the way it looks all the time. So
it's kind of muddy.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time, like because when you 720p Ocarina of Time, like it does look like it's been zoomed in. It doesn't look like, whoa, crystal clear, 720p, like N64, like that's because that's just impossible. But it does look pretty cool.
Anti-aliasing on it, the kind of that anti-aliasing on the N64 kind of just blurs everything together. Is there a way to turn that off?
The HDMI actually automatically turns off the anti-aliasing of the N64.
Oh, nice.
That's like part of the reason why the HDMI mod looks so good. So it turns off the anti-aliasing automatically.
Yeah, which is really pretty sweet. And one thing I also got to one thing that was also kind of nice is that now I don't need the FrameMeister for the N64 because the HDMI, like, it just, you can set the resolution you want it to scale to. You don't have to like put it through an upscaler, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I think it's less lag overall, which is great.
That may be. And on top,
do you have an EverDrive as well?
No, I don't. I'm gonna need to look into something like that at some point. But what's cool though is that I haven't actually tried plugging it in, but I think I could still hook up my component cables if I want to. Like it's not an intrusive HDMI mod, and it looks pretty flush on the system. Like it looks like an official thing. What's cool, by the way, is the way you can futz around with the picture and the gamma and this, that, and the other thing is they put a little sticker on the bottom of the N64 that tells me what to do. Like if you just hold L and R and press C right and D-pad right, like, you know, something you would never do in normal gameplay, then this menu pops up, which is kind of nice, and you just tweak things as you like. And the guy at the store did recommend that I like stay on the tweaking because different games like different presentations. Settings. Yeah.
Sure.
So like I'm not gonna have like a one size fits all setting. It's like what you told me about the FrameMeister with Sega Genesis games. Like this setting is good for most of them. You know, like something like that.
Yeah, because Sega Genesis games came in 2 different resolutions, and some of the games even switched. So
yeah,
it just depends.
So the I guess the only I think I might have lost what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, the only thing is it takes HDMI mini, but if you have like a mini to a regular HDMI cord, then you know you're golden.
Nice.
So
nice.
it's pretty rad. So it was funny because when I had first put in to get the mod, they were like, "Oh, it's gonna take a while. Like, you know, it'll take 3 weeks if all goes well." But I was apparently like something insane, like 15th in line for N64 mods because they were getting popular and they had to order the parts from China. But like, they got mine in quicker than they thought they would, so I was set in 4 weeks, and I waited an additional week to actually pick it up so I could go with Mr. Ryu. So
apparently I'm the one that's getting the last one.
Oh, really?
He has, and they're not projected to get another one in for a very long time. He was saying.
I gotcha.
Like, they're like overbooked.
Yeah, that's what he had said, yeah. It's kind of funny because, like, we had both mentioned, oh, I would like to get an N64 mod at some point. And, like, neither of us told the other, and we both apparently went in to get one at the same time. Like, that's outrageous.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That's ridiculous.
It's really
so I was like, well, I'll wait till I spring this on Vice. And you were like, oh, I was already doing something like that. Like, okay.
No, and it was at the same store, which is hilarious. And it's near neither of us.
Well, the thing is, that's, I mean, where else would we get it? Like of course it's at that store. Because I remember, because they said we do mods. I'm like, sure, I'll go to a store that I already know the people there and trust instead of like mail it out to some guy, you know? Like an hour trip is long, but you could do worse, you know? Like if you don't have anything going on that day, it's like, let me pick up my N64. Like, done. So that was kind of nice. So my GameCube's still in the shop, so, you know, I'll have to wait until whenever for that. But yeah, the N64 was the one I was kind of looking forward to the most anyway, and they said that the resolution, like, well, not the resolution, but like the appearance is clearly different, and yeah, you could certainly tweak it like as you like. And again, you could even go back to 480p, and then you'll have to mess around with crop settings because it like stretches and fills the screen. You can do things about that, but when you immediately set the 480, it's like, whoa, okay.
The HDMI mod for the NES is supposed to be really good too.
Oh, nice.
It's actually programmed by the guy who made the NT Mini, which is one of the, you know.
Oh, was that the thing? The other AV? Now. Okay.
Yeah. And he's also the guy who invented, like, you know, the NES music file format and all that stuff.
Right.
His name is Kevtris. He's actually like instrumental in dumping a lot of the games that are ROMs around.
Okay.
He actually like has done a lot for the NES community in particular.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's my week. So, who among you shall go next?
Steven, Retro. You could go right away.
Oh, my secret's out.
No.
I haven't been doing too much now, kind of gaming. I was devoting all my time to Breath of the Wild, which I've finished a while ago.
So
Nice.
good.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah, and you're not a huge Zelda fan either, right?
Me?
Yeah.
What? I love Zelda.
Okay. I know there are a few of our friends from the old Hardcore Gaming 101 group that shun Zelda, except for me and a couple other people. So
No, I love Zelda. I didn't like Skyward Sword.
Oh, okay.
Well,
That's
I mean,
just
a lot
understandable.
of people have
Yeah.
varying opinions about Skyward Sword.
Yeah, I was listening to Kat Bailey and she called it dungeon porn, and that's what I felt about Skyward Sword. It was just really linear. Every dungeon was a dungeon, of course, but then the overworld is also a dungeon. There's no respite from it. There's no kind of downtime, and I think
the structure wasn't the best. But it had good story beats. But it wasn't.
It just needed kind of change it up every so often. Have just kind of let you relax, explore, but you couldn't do that because you're just in another dungeon trying to get to another dungeon.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think Breath of the Wild's completely I think it's just completely changed open worlds. I hope it's changed open worlds for the better, because I just don't like open world games at all. Even Grand Theft Auto I'm not a big fan of.
Nah, I know the feeling. Like, I liked LA Noire, but I didn't futz around. I just did the missions.
I like Ubisoft's open world games. They tend to be better.
I think they're the worst offenders. They're just big checklists. It's just your overworld is all these little icons, and you're just checking them off.
But like the Far Cry games are a lot of fun.
The gunplay's good, but when you're doing it for 80 hours, you're kind of like, it's only enough gameplay there to last you 20 hours, and then they kind of get repetitive then, I feel.
Yeah,
and I don't even
way about Mad Max, actually.
Yeah. Don't get me started on...
Yeah, I heard that was one of his big flaws. I mean, my problem with overworld games is, like, I don't want a giant world. It's like, I will take a world's 20% the size if it's filled with stuff to do. Like, I don't want to just wander across a field, to get to the next point, where it's like, what's even the point of having this in the overworld?
I actually think one of the big flaws of Breath of the Wild is the side quests aren't that great. They're all kind of fetch quests. But the thing about it is, it's a lot of the other quests are kind of like, there's one where it's like, there's a giant statue in this mountain range, and it's not like, here's a big stamp here, go right here. You have to go to that mountain range and actually look for it yourself.
Oh, jeez.
And
I appreciate why people would like that, but I want to just get it done, so it would just be like
But I kind of just accept the quest, and then I go up to that mountain range, and there's so much there to see and do, and there's all these kind of little puzzles, kind of environmental puzzles that you can discover, and you kind of just find it in the process of actually exploring. And of course, if you get lost, there's game facts.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it's refreshing that it actually... I mean, you might think that like you're going to get lost and the stuff there you're not going to actually see, but I just kind of find it refreshing that it respects the player's intelligence to go out and actually find these things by themselves and make their own fun. Yeah. It feels kind of like the very first Zelda, I think. The way there's no real structure to that. Like, you can go to any dungeon in any order. And
I totally agree. It's a good one.
Yeah, I think there's some flaws in it that can maybe improve it in another game. Like, the combat gets a bit repetitive later on. Some of the enemies become just damage sponges later on, and it's not as much fun as when you start. But I've enjoyed it better than any open world game I've ever played.
Nice.
Yeah. I have to agree. I can't think of anything better that outclasses it. They really put a lot of thought into what has been done in the genre and how they could move it forward, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, I get the feeling when I finally play Breath of the Wild, that's going to be my number one open world game, because I think I've only played one so far, which was LA Noire, and while I loved it, like 60% of the world, there's just straight up nothing to do.
Yeah, no more heroes. What are you talking about?
I guess that's true, but that was designed to be irritating.
There's a lot of trash to collect.
There sure is.
You need Kalashnikov balls or whatever they're called.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Where it just beats the crap out of you and now you just know a technique.
I love that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the kind of big game I've been concentrating on is Etrian Odyssey 2. I've started it about a year ago. And
I love those games.
Yeah, I kind of never really liked dungeon crawler games until I played the first Etrian Odyssey, and now I absolutely adore the genre. Yeah. So I started playing like Shining in the Darkness with my graph paper.
Yeah, it's a good one. And there's a sequel to that on the Saturn.
Yeah, I have that.
Shining Holy Ark. Yeah.
That was kind of, until Etrian Odyssey came out, that was regarded as one of the very best in the genre.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
But I like about Etrian Odyssey, it's kind of very old school. Even the soundtrack is old school. Yuzo Koshiro, but it has enough.
Oh, Yuzo Koshiro, that's amazing.
Yeah.
He does the whole series actually.
He does it on he composed it on a PC-88 as well, so give it that old school feel.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it sounds like a Mega Drive, but a little bit better.
Excellent.
FN synthesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has this kind of these modern conveniences in there, just enough to kind of
like it has its own graph paper on the bottom, on the bottom screen.
Yeah, that's a necessary addition.
No, it's what makes the
fun,
game. So
yeah.
No, I was saying that is a necessary addition. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to say unnecessary.
Sorry, yeah, that came out poorly, but yeah, like that is so good. Like Grimrock did the same thing. Like you could play with or without graph paper, but like play with, man.
But you actually in Etrian's Odyssey, you actually draw it with the stylus.
Oh, okay.
That's what's
so it's even
fun
more
about
interactive.
It's actually like cartography, like the game.
Excellent.
It's a lot of fun.
And it's not like a normal JRPG where you go into a dungeon and you get to the end of the dungeon. You're gonna have to get out of that dungeon once you start running low on supplies. You're gonna get killed. Yeah, so you keep going back into the dungeon and over and over again, and then filling out your map more and more. So you really need that map. That's kind of your lifeline and how to get into that dungeon and how to get out of there when everything
quickly
goes
and
wrong.
Efficiently. Yeah.
Okay.
You do get warp wires every so often. They kind of teleport you back to the town, but every so often you're going to forget to buy one, and
so
you'll need your map.
You don't have to be specific about this because I never got to the end of 2, but part of the reason why I love Etrian Odyssey 1 is it has a fantastic twist at the end. Does it have a fantastic twist in 2?
No, the story is very weak. I think Etrian Odyssey 2 is more... It's just Etrian Odyssey 1, except they made it a bit harder.
Yeah.
And I actually found it easier than Etrian Odyssey 1 because I've been through the first one, and I didn't really understand the classes. Like, if you're making a character, you don't have enough skill points to really get all the skills. So you really have to kind of specialize. And I didn't really get that till the end of Etrian Odyssey 1, and I kind of a little bit under leveled, but I wasn't too bad. But Etrian Odyssey 2, then I kind of understood all the classes and I was able to kind of specialize them all. And there was only one boss that really gave me an awful lot of trouble, which I found out the community nicknamed the Brick Wall.
Oh, there we go. So it's not just you.
Yeah, what you have to do is you have to have it's a class called a Hexer, and they basically debuff the enemies.
Okay.
And I heard they were totally overpowered, and I never used them in the first one because you actually get that class, I think, right before the last dungeon. Yeah, really. So it's not, you'll have to, like, they start at level 1, you have to level them up, and it's like, oh. So I got to this boss, and you really need a Hexer for this boss because he just wipe out your party in 2 or 3 hits if you don't increase his strength. Yeah, it's just insanity. So I had to kind of redo my party and put a Hexer in and train them up, but it actually ended up not being that hard to train up a Hexer because I created one party member, and all he did was sleep in the inn for 14 days, and then all the bosses respawned, and I went back and killed the bosses and got tons of experience. So,
oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it took me about half an hour until they got back up to where I needed them to be, and it kind of made the rest of the game a bit of a cakewalk. That was the only thing. The last boss, I just totally destroyed him in about 3 turns. Yeah, because the Hexer is really overpowered, but I couldn't get past that other boss without him. But awesome. Yeah, I'd recommend it, but I'd rather you start with Etrian Odyssey 1 first. 2 is... They kind of started changing up the game as well with 3. They added in side dungeons and stuff.
Yeah, I'm wondering at this point, though, if people should be playing the remakes of 1 and 2.
Yeah, you probably should, because you get the old game and you get the remake with the story. With changed up enemies and bosses and maps.
They remade 1 and 2 as Untold, the Untold games, and the remake has more emphasis on story and characters. Whereas they're
a bit anime though.
Yeah, they're very tropey.
The thing is, they're very different games. If you play the old one and the new one, which is included in both.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. They added kind of newer things to the story based one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's a good way to experience it. I'd recommend though playing with the old soundtrack. I just think the FM
the old
sounds way better.
Great. Yeah.
Yuzo Koshiro, I don't think he's as good when he's using
it's not the same.
Instruments. Yeah,
it's not the same.
Other than that, I finished Etrian Odyssey 2 on the plane over to
nice.
to America because it was a pretty long flight, and I started playing Atelier Meruru. I think that's how you pronounce it. I have a bit of a guilty pleasure with the Gust Atelier games.
A lot of people love those. I've never really synced up with them.
I kind of like I just don't like the way they get ignored by the media because they're actually pretty good. Gus makes a lot of questionable fan servicey games, but I think the Atelier games is where they actually put a lot of the effort in. There's a bit of
a lot of people really like the Arts and Elego games too.
I think they got very pervy after the second one.
I think
the first and second one.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only ones I've ever seen were like maybe the first one on like the PS2 in college because it was like, oh, another Nippon Ichi style game, okay, and never really went past that.
Yeah, I think once you get to the PlayStation 3 Art Tanelco games, it's one of these games where the girls get more powerful by losing clothes.
Yeah, and they get younger, I think, too.
Great, yeah.
So Gus makes a lot of games kind of like that. But the Atelier games are actually kind of very grounded. They feature kind of young girls in them, but it's actually... They start off maybe 16, 17, and it takes place over 3 years. And it's about these kind of girls that are sheltered, and then they have to run the shop and kind of just get life experience and become women, really. That's what the whole thing's about. So, and they go through really nice kind of character arcs, I find.
Oh, nice.
So Atelier Meruru was the first one in this trilogy, and that wasn't great. Meruru was a bit one-dimensional and a bit stupid. And, yeah, she was very fan-servicey, but Totori was very strong in the second game. Like, her arc was she had a mother who was like a warrior, and she just went around the world as an adventurer, and they actually had to make a job called an adventurer just because of her. And Totori's kind of very frail, kind of little girl kind of thing, and she wants to become an adventurer because her mother went missing 5 years ago and wants to find her. And it's kind of really cool. Over the 5 years that you play the game, Totori actually starts becoming like her mother. It's really cool character arc. So I've only really started Meruru, but she's very... I like a lot of the Atelier protagonists are kind of ditzy and very anime, where Meruru is really tomboyish. She's a princess of this kingdom, and she's always kind of sneaking out of the castle, getting in trouble. She seems a lot more interesting.
Chrono Trigger, right?
Yeah, she's kind of like that. Yeah. So I haven't got too far in it, but I'm looking forward to it. It's interesting to see another kind of character who's already kind of strong-willed rather than actually getting there in the first place. So I don't have too much to say on that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And the other thing that's been taking an awful lot of my time is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Have any of you heard of that?
I still don't know much about it. Yeah.
It's pretty much the biggest multiplayer game on Steam at the moment. Huh. It's actually made by an Irish guy, which is...
Hey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's a Korean team. He kind of flies over every so often, but the guy's from Kildare in Ireland, so respect. But it's one of these... It's kind of a new genre game called Battle Royale game. And I don't play multiplayer games at all. I really hate kind of... I did a bit of Counter-Strike when I was younger, but I kind of got out of it. I just don't like the scene, but there's something about this game that's really grabbed me. It feels kind of like the Arma games where you kind of all the guns are realistic and you have to lead people and there's bullet drop and it's all kind of very realistic.
Arcs like that as well, right?
Yeah. But it's also got this... It's really, really silly as well.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's just got this nice bit of silliness that anything can happen.
Yeah, sure.
So basically, it's kind of like you can play it in teams as well, but I kind of like playing the solo one where it's just 100 players in this plane and it flies over this giant island, and you choose to kind of parachute out onto the island, and you parachute onto the ground, and you've got nothing. You're in your underwear. I have a character with a big afro.
I love that.
Stands out, yeah. And you have to just go around all these buildings looking for weapons, looking for armor and upgrades for your weapons.
It's like a survival game, you know.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And then after time, this big circle on the map appears, and it says you have to get into the circle. Otherwise, this kind of gas cloud is closing on the circle.
That's like Battle Royale.
I was actually just going to say that, yeah.
This genre is Battle Royale game.
Yeah. And
that circle just keeps getting smaller and smaller, and then these kind of hot zones appear. Where
Hunger Games to those who are young.
Yeah.
But it's got the right amount of silliness. Like at the start, you can kind of parachute into an area where everybody else is parachuted in, and you're scrambling for a gun, and someone is running after you with a machete because they can't find a pistol.
And they're still naked, yeah.
Yeah. It's just got that kind of craziness, and there's a few times where I landed in an area where nobody was, and I got really kitted up with sniper rifles, tons of rounds.
Wow,
I'm like, I'm going to go do really well this time. And then some idiot with on a motorbike comes running at me, and I shoot him off the motorbike when the motorbike comes skidding into me and kills me and just ruins my game.
Well,
it's just got that kind of like that anything can happen.
It's like real life.
Yeah, and then, once you get to the kind of the end game and the circle's really small, and everybody's just crawling around in the grass, and you're afraid to give away your position, and there could be people beside you, and you can hear people shooting, and you're like, oh, I could stick my head up and see where they are and shoot them, but then everybody else can see me. So it's just got this really great tension as well when you get to the end game, although I don't usually get there, and I still haven't won a game yet.
It's still fun.
But it's good fun. I've been playing a duo with another one of my friends as well, with just two of us running around. We're terrible. He's an awful wingman, so I kind of have to teach him to get a bit better, but it's really fun just kind of, even when you do bad, you can have a laugh at it. But I recommend trying it out if you... I mean, like, I know if you're not into these type of games, it's hard to recommend, and even I was kind of skeptical of it, because I have a few friends who are big into Counter-Strike and all those kind of realistic shooter games, and they were the guys that told me to try this, and I said, oh, I'll get it so maybe I can play with them a little bit, and I ended up really enjoying it. So yeah, that gives a thumbs up for me.
So yeah, in terms of games, I've had a little bit more time lately to play, just because I've been off from work, for vacation, and also Retro came and visited, so I took off of work. So I've been playing a little bit more Rise of the Tomb Raider. Still think the character of Lara Croft has gone way downhill. She's not lighthearted at all. She does things for selfish reasons. That she ends up killing tons of people in the game for only for selfish reasons, basically.
Well, that's kind of my thing. I don't care if she isn't lighthearted, but like the fact that she could leave at any time and chooses not to, it's like, well,
yeah. She's in her situation because of her own character flaws.
Yeah.
Not because she needs to be there. Or
that's the thing. Like in the reboot, she was not lighthearted, but guess what? Like, you're stuck here. Like, deal with it. Like, that's pretty much how that game went.
Like, she's where she is because she wants to be there.
Yeah.
And she's basically feral in the game too. Like, there are a couple like outfits that basically like allude to the fact that she's basically like this crazy like person in like pelts that like she made like like because she's killing all these animals too.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's just kind of funny. But the gameplay is good. I like the gameplay a lot. It's also a beautiful game, as I've stated before. I also and I'm moving forward with that, and I'm going to continue playing it. I also wanted to talk about the fact that I finally completed my living room.
Hey.
So it is completed. So I got everything together. I want to do a video sometime soon of my setup. So I have all of my systems hooked up here in a pretty convenient way, and my speakers are really great and everything. And it's a really nice arrangement, and I really like the way that my living room turned out, and I'm glad that I finally was able to get it all together. So I'm very proud of that, and I want to show people it. I think they'll be interested in the way I set everything up. Everybody who comes in says it's pretty epic, so
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I even have like rare versions of like I have a super graphics and all that stuff. So
yeah, the video game set. You know what you should do actually is you should just like, if not video, then at least just a picture of just like all the consoles you have like up next to each other, because that is a sight.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the way it turned out, and also the layout. The layout actually looks good. It's attractive, so I'm really enjoying it. So, in having said that, we actually Retro and I have played a little bit on it, and we actually busted out the Neo Geo Mega.
Hey.
And we got in some Windjammers. Everybody take a shot.
Hey, yeah.
And
Windjammers.
Played quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but my roommate played me earlier this week, and I just love that game because it's such a good game that anybody can play. Like the concept is so universal. It's like Pong, but
yeah,
like, it's like slightly more complicated than Pong, but it's so much fun.
And
it's the first time I ever really played it as well. I just started picking it up, and even like by the end of we're only playing for about half an hour, but by the end of it, I was picking up all the nuances in the control scheme. Maybe to kind of curve the.
What's cool is that there is a deeper game, but you don't have to know it to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, but even the best players will mess up. So on just simple throws.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a fast-paced game. So, and a difficult game to master. So I mean, it's cool because it also only has 2 buttons, and it's just it's a really beginner-friendly game, and something that anybody can gravitate towards and have a good time with. So I was really, really happy to play that with Retro here, and we had a good time. And then we immediately went over to Crazy Power Disc Perfect.
Yeah.
Right after that, and had even some more fun with that. I got to see him show him exceptional Azoth and how much of a piece of shit he is.
Azoth is like just putting mines in the opponent's field. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. I was laying down mines, and he was like, "Oh, what the fuck is this?"
My favorite thing to do though is still gonna be what was his name? Damnation Maguna. My favorite thing of his is not his super move, but like when the opponent has the disc, you can just shoot him with a little laser if you aim it right. So my favorite thing to do is when they're accepting the disc, like from the ref to catch it so they can serve it. If you shoot them right there, they just can't catch the disc and it just hits the ground and it's just an instant point for you. It's the biggest bullshit ever.
Yes, it's defense move or whatever.
It's such a no respect kind of thing to do.
A dickbag move, yeah. I don't know. I love that game even more than sometimes I like playing the original Windjammers just because it's classic. It's pared down. But I do like playing Crazy Power Disc a lot of times too. So it just gives it a nuanced flavor to it.
Yeah, not to mention the aesthetic. It's like Windjammers is the standard extreme dudes radical 90s playing sports in an arena that might exist, and Crazy Power Disc is full on anime style, so that could also be your thing as well.
Retro, what did you which one did you prefer? I didn't get that out of you.
I think Crazy Power Disc Perfect.
Yeah,
they should make it an Olympic sport.
Yeah, that game really should be on Steam. If it was on Steam, people would be going crazy over it.
I will say this: my mood of which was better might change.
Yeah, mine too.
That said, though, Crazy Power Disc is objectively better in the sense that each arena has its own theme music.
Yeah, I also I think there's a lot of love put into Crazy Power Disc Perfect, in terms of balancing and there's more characters and there's more special moves and stuff like that.
Oh, and you know what? And you know what else though? You know what else is that Windjammers is for the most part on a static shot, but in Crazy Power Disc, if something ever weird ever happens and you just send the disc flying a million miles into the air, the camera will pan up and
there's stuff there.
Yeah, the background keeps going. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they drew stuff there just in case. It's kind of like when you bust through a wall in a two-teeth fighter, at the end of a match, and you see this alternate part of the level where
even in Street Fighter 2 when you bust through the wall of the bathhouse, it's I can do that.
Yeah.
And, it almost makes me think of the exact opposite thing that Charles Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden did when you're trying to negotiate a deal between the genies and the dwarfs, where as you do it, you see their hands reaching out from each side of the screen to get to that handshake point. But if you do it really heavily in one direction, eventually one of the hands just it's not attached to anything. The hand just it comes off. It's this floating arm. It looks awful on purpose. It's amazing.
Looks like a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's so good. It's delightful.
We also played a lot of other games that are kind of like that. Just quick. Competition games. So we played Towerfall Ascension, which is a favorite of our friends group, I think. We played that quite a bit when I went over to Ireland to go see him, and we had a great time doing that. And we also played a game that's very similar that is pretty fun too. It was Samurai Gunn. We got a chance to play that. So I think I had mentioned that a couple times to our friend group as well about Samurai Gunn, but this is the first time I actually got a chance to play it with somebody. So I was pretty happy.
It's fun, but I think I prefer Towerfall because it has that. Yeah. Towerfall has this kind of if nobody knows, you kind of fire arrows at people, and you only have like 3 arrows.
Yeah, to
And
start
if
with.
you run out of arrows, you have this move where you can dash, but if you dash into the arrow, you can take the arrow out of the air. So it kind of has this nice reversal mechanic where you can take someone's arrow and fire it back at them if you're good enough. Where I don't think Samurai Gun has that kind of level of nuance to it.
Yeah, and Samurai Gun is more of a like a game of chicken, I would say, because like it's definitely one of those games where like if you get close, you have a good chance of hitting the bad guy, your opponent. But it's kind of like Bushido Blade in that way. You get close to your opponent, but you also increase your chances of getting hit yourself. Because this is a more melee focused game. You do have a gun, but I would say that it has a much more focus on the melee in this game. Definitely. Yeah. It's cool though to like I was saying earlier about Windjammers and Crazy Power Disc Perfect. It's just that having a slight variation on a similar game is kind of fun every once in a while and mix it up a little bit. So,
Oh yeah.
It would be even cooler if Towerfall Ascension got like a mode where you could do a melee at one point or another, so it kind of emulated that kind of thing all in one spot. But we also played Nidhogg at the very end too.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
I absolutely love Nidhogg. It's so much fun.
I just love how even when you win, you lose. Like I know the point is to get eaten by the dragon, but it's like I win, like chomp, like immediately.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I was like, "What the hell just happened?"
Yeah, like no, good job, you did it. Like really?
Yeah, we were even talking about the sequel and that it looks
disgusting.
Yeah, it doesn't look very good. I don't like the art style at all.
I hope you play as dragons and are eaten by a human with a sword.
It's just like really cartoony and doesn't look like the original at all.
Kind of looks like The Simpsons, but it's kind of
oh weird.
Yeah, they're kind of all made of multiple sprites where
it's like ragdolly. It's very Ernest Evans.
Yeah. It probably plays great, but I mean
it just kind of bad.
Yeah, Nidhogg just looks kind of classy with the kind of minimalistic.
Yeah. There's like 3 colors in the whole thing.
Yeah, it looks like a Commodore 64 game or something.
It does.
Yeah. Almost like it was like Commodore 64 mixed with like Atari 2600.
Yeah.
For the colors.
Yeah. Well, just because like it even kind of looks like Pitfall Harry almost, like your swordsman.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great time, and we're planning on playing more games. We're having a good time and look forward to playing more.
Nice.
Later on. I think we can move on to questions here too.
Yeah. So here's a really basic question, which could lead to a rabbit hole. Thakafon asks, thoughts on memes?
So I kind of I thought a little bit about this, and I mean, I think all 3 of us have been around in the golden age of like internet humor, in that we were
like
around
4chan in like freshman year of college.
Yeah, exactly. We were around in the right time when people were just getting into this kind of stuff, and albino black sheep and all that stuff. The earliest memes. Like G.I. Joe PSAs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like the JoJo the JoJo like stick figure action before I'd even heard of JoJo. I was like, what is going on with this?
Yeah, Zhao Zhao or whatever. Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, there was that, which was amazing, but I mean, like,
I love those.
I mean, the JoJo stuff, where the stick figures would just do JoJo moves, and like they were sounds that I would later learn were ripped from the PS1 Fighter and like the PS2 Japan only games. Like when I finally imported the PS2 Golden Wind game and I heard the Minuing sounds, I was like, holy shit, that's where it was from. Like, oh my god.
So I guess what I would say is, just like any other type of humor, I mean, certain things can get beaten to the ground, but I mean, by and large, I there's some memes that just like destroy me every time I see them. Like I love Hipster Ariel.
That was a good one. Yeah.
I love it's a dingle hopper, Eric. Oh, you've probably never heard of it.
Yeah. My favorite one by far was, and this is before records came back into fashion, was look at this stuff. Isn't this neat? My vinyl collection is almost complete.
I love that one's really good. I showed my girlfriend that earlier this week, and she was dying. Harambe is still really funny to me. I mean, that one's in bad taste, but but I
yeah,
still...
but just because of the big deal he made out of it, like...
Yeah, that's the whole point of
yeah.
it. The point is that people were making a huge deal off of something that was tragic, but also it stuck around for a really long time.
The Harambe memes exist as like overcompensation for like, no, he was a good gorilla, and like they just went so far with it that yeah.
And people were like getting in fights about like the nuance of like what had happened, and it's like, yeah, he's a wild animal. It's I guess as tame as a wild animal could be being in the zoo, but it's. How does anybody know what that animal is going to do? That's why they killed it.
Well, that's why, yeah.
Yeah, nobody knows what... It could have gone bad at any point. Mm-hmm. But anyway, and it was getting close to the point where, the gorilla was, like, touching the kid,
Yeah.
It wasn't good. So anyway, let's be realistic. Like, gorillas kill things, when they're mad.
It's like the old joke, like, what do you give a 600-pound gorilla? Like, whatever it wants.
Yeah, let the Wookiee win.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I really loved You're the Man Now Dog before it got really
back when it was good
and really dumb. I mean, like dramatic readings are always one of my favorites.
No, one of my favorite ones.
Breakup letter.
One of my favorite ones I saw was like, it was interesting because it was the worst possible YTMND to make. Like, it was the worst thing they could have made, but the joke was that it was like how to make a bad YTMND, and they basically took someone else's YTMND and showed why it sucked. So it's like, step 1, like, have a really shitty camera. Step 2, have like a really loud fan on the background, like, etc., etc. And it's like, step 3, have an in-joke that absolutely nobody but you and the other guy you're with are gonna get. And then it finally culminates with showing some video of something you could barely understand, like from some kids in the living room or whatever. It's like, that's kind of amazing.
I mean, like, geez, we're nerds and aficionados of comedy in general. So like, I mean, like, anything that's funny is funny. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I take memes.
I think the big problem with them is misuse of the memes. Because, you get
I was going to go into that.
Yeah. Like Steam Greenlight games, or where it's just like, oh look, there's Pepe, wait, he's funny, and it's like there's no punchline.
That's the thing, like that, like the joke is that it's a thing you recognize, like that's not a joke. Even if it's funny, it's not a joke, I mean,
when the MLG game came out, like that short kind of fan game, where it was just like a first-person shooter full of memes. That was funny the first time, but now everybody seems to be doing it and releasing it on Steam Greenlight.
Yeah.
Well, here's my deal with the misuse of memes, because I was actually going to go in a different direction. I like memes when they're being used for jokes, where it's like, here's a stupid thing. Like, what irritates...
Like the Willy Wonka one that are just, like, mean-spirited.
Well, there are those. Those I could take or leave, depending on my mood. But what I don't like is when people use them like as responses in conversations.
Yeah.
Like where it's just like, let me just lazily Google image search something and copy paste it for you. It's like, dude, just like say something. Like we were talking. Like that's when it kind of bugs me, when they're just kind of like, it's like the new version of just saying LOL or K and then like just disappearing forever.
I love Irma Gerd.
I actually hate that one. Like that was funny. That was funny. Like
so good.
That was funny to me like twice, and then I'm like, oh, it's just typing something stupidly, and that's the whole joke. Like I can't get past that.
I love that. That's just my type of humor, though.
I mean, I
just love saying things
get
in a
it, but it is
way.
so not for me. It's like, let me just type something like that. If I were to say it out loud, it'd be with a stupid voice, and like that's the meme. And I'm just like, I mean, to be fair though, I like the Doge meme, and that's just as stupid. It's just I happen to like that one.
We just came back from a diner where we had 15 minutes of Vice doing Irma Gerd.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it's better we missed each other after all.
Yeah, no, it was good times.
Yeah,
at least I enjoyed it, and that's all that matters.
Well, that's how I am with puns. Like, I don't care if the entire world hates me. Like, I thought it was funny. You will learn to like puns.
It's like anything can get beaten to the ground. I mean, geez, like
that actually is something else too. Yeah, like even if I like a meme, like I liked it the first time. Like do you remember when this became popular? I don't know if it's really I guess it's like a meme in text form. But do you remember when it kind of died now, but back when people would go on vacation or something, and they would be like, Tahiti, I am inside you, when they land. Yeah, it's really hilarious when every single goddamn person on Facebook does it. It's like, all right, guys, you're not original anymore. Like, you stopped being original like 3 months ago. Give it a rest.
It's like adding the in bed to the end of everything. Like, that was a big thing for a while, too.
Yeah, but the thing with the in bed thing was that was supposed to be spread around. Like, just like, Japan, I am in you. Like, yeah, ha, 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 ha. Like, I get it. Like, the in bed was like, hey, dude, you should try saying in bed after something. Like, people intended to push that one around, so it's kind of like, let me try it. But the I am inside you just, I mean, I can't read people's minds, so I might just be an asshole here, but it just makes me think like, now's my chance to make the funny joke, and it's like, it's already been made though, like that kind of thing. Yeah. I
don't know. Sometimes the bad taste of it is actually the funny bit.
No, I mean, it's shock value. I mean, that's a whole genre by itself. By the way, I think we have time for one more because this is a quickie.
Yeah, go ahead.
We might even have time for 2 more because this one will be like really quick. And but here we go. Diana Gohan asks, since you guys say every week, you Vice, you say like leave ratings and reviews on iTunes and give us 5 stars. Are we competing with anyone in that regard, even as a joke? One day I'm gonna take down the #1 podcast on iTunes, or like do we have like a faux rivalry with someone on iTunes?
Oh man, yeah. Let's take down like the Giant Bombcast.
Yeah,
like
we'll
one of the biggest ones on the internet.
We're coming for you.
Yeah. We're crawling our way up the ladder.
Like there's nobody that we could compete with. Like Laser Time has like multiple shows, and like their podcasts support them financially. Ours is a sinkhole, but I mean, like, even if it was funny, I'd love to kind of compete with one of those guys, but I think it's only funny if they kind of know about it. Because, I would want them to be in on the joke.
That's the thing. Like, the nostalgia critic and the video game nerd, they're not rivals at all, but it was sure fun to, like, push that really hard. And just like, oh, they hate each other. Oh, even though they really have no reason to. Like, it was just kind of fun because they were both in on it and both spreading awareness of the other. Whereas if we were to do it, we're not this overly popular podcast. So if we're like, Giant Bomb, like you said, we're coming for it. It's like, no one's, like, everyone's gonna be like, no, you're not. Like, just straight up.
We're actually friends with quite a few. I am, at least, and Retro to some extent are friends with some of the 57K guys over at Hardcore Gaming 101. So I mean, I think it would be kind of funny to have like a mini rivalry with them, but only if they were in on it. I've been on that show multiple times, and I like those guys in general, but the kind of rivalry I would like to have is probably with Old Man Stompy, just in particular.
That's
just
great.
Because our fake rivalries are always really funny and entertaining.
Oh, I promise you, Old Man Stompy's gonna come on next week and be like, yeah, fake rivalries. That's what they are. Yeah, fake. Okay, yeah, sure, Vice. All right. Like, circles your name on his list.
Is that what they call knives in the bed?
No, I'm just thinking he has this list of like, people who are going down, just circles your name. Yeah, fake rivalry. All right, Vice. Like, you wait. All right.
He's Steve Buscemi from Billy Madison.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people to kill. Billy Madison. Not anymore. Yeah. But I think we have time for one more, so we could actually get more input from Retro Gamer on this one.
Oh, sure.
Carrot, because he's not going to answer the podcast rivalry question. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that. So, Carrick52 asks, what was the last little thing in a game that made you smile? It could be a quick character moment, a pun, like a reload animation, anything.
Mine was the victory screen after I housed him in Windjammers.
Poor. Shots fired.
Yeah. And also after I told him he was getting weak in Street Fighter 2 because he thought he was burnt out on it.
Oh, damn. Thanks, son.
Like the gauntlet's been thrown down.
Yep.
The shade.
But no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think I go back to Battlegrounds. I think it's one game I had where 2 of us managed to land on the top of the same building, and we were running around on the top of the building looking for guns, and there was no guns. And then the guy just started running after me with his fists, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not."
Slappers only.
Yeah, no, but I started running. I went downstairs in the building, and he was still running after me, swinging fists at me. And I picked up. The only gun I could find was a crossbow, which is utterly rubbish. So then I was there trying to reload the crossbow. Well, he's swinging his fists at me, and we're both in our underwear, and I got this big afro on, of course, as well.
That's so dumb.
And I'm firing crossbow bolts at him and missing, and he's missing all of his punches. And eventually, he landed a few on me, and I was like down to the last bit of my health, and I managed to just flukily get a bolt into his head.
Hey, all's well that ends well.
It was so ridiculous that I just had to laugh out loud afterwards.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good.
We actually had a really funny moment in Towerfall where we had a really close match, and then Retro just killed himself by accident, and that's how that's how.
But the thing is, you did the exact same thing 3 times. So I said,
but I ended up winning that round because of it. Those are, and we're like, if somebody went to go like pay good money to watch this match, they would have hated us.
I shot an arrow into the ceiling and it bounced down and hit me in the head.
Yeah.
Nice.
I guess for a real thing that made me smile is probably a combination of these two things. I've talked about these games in length, of course, but I did want to do a shout out to the character development in Breath of the Wild on Zelda's part. That made me really smile. And just like the journey in that game was just so much fun. And I also love the dialogue in Uncharted 4. It's just so much fun for me.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Just those dialogue moments and story bits in both those games are top notch for me. I really loved everything about them. So they were heartwarming.
In my case, I would jump all over a pun if I could think of one that happened immediately, but probably the last...
Join the club!
What?
Douchebags.
Godhand. We're gonna deal you a killer hand. No, but one of the most recent things that kind of cracked me up was I was playing some Mortal Kombat 10, and I forgot that this was a thing they did, but they have these towers. You could just grind your way up like 10 guys or whatever, and just collect some coins for the crypt. But I had forgotten that they have event towers for certain holidays, and I was playing on like July 6th or 7th or whatever, so the July 4th event was still up, and it's so stupid, like on purpose, like sometimes an effect of one of the areas, if there are like negative effects, just like bombs can fall down from the sky, and you just gotta watch out for those while you're playing. But they were like fireworks instead. And when you start like round 1, you hear like da 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 da, and that's it. And it's just like, for God's sake, really? Like it's so dumb. It's just like it's so like heavy-handed that it just cracked me up. So that was pretty enjoyable. And also just like, this isn't a moment in a game, but just seeing Treasure Cove and Gizmos and Gadgets again, because those are like, man, like those aren't great games, but man, I have a soft spot for them. Like those are just fantastic. And otherwise, maybe I've mentioned this before, but Yakuza 5's just repeated callbacks to Yakuza 2, and of course Yakuza 5 sometimes has just straight up stupid moments in it, like on purpose, and those are enjoyable as well. So I guess those in recent history.
I also have one quick addition here as well. So my girlfriend puts up with my nerdery, but she's not like a super video game person or anything like that. She's played games over the years here and there, but just like anybody doesn't like avoid an entire medium. You know what I mean? Like she only really played like Crash Team Racing growing up.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country. Popular stuff.
Those are classics.
Everybody played. Yeah, and but she by and large realizes that I love this stuff and is very tolerant of it. Around the nerdery of it, but she, when I went home to visit my parents for this weekend, and also to introduce Steven to them, or Retro.
God damn it, Vice! Do the whole podcast over.
Son of a. Yeah. God, it's Pikachu. God, speaking of memes.
God damn it.
It's Diglett. No, it's Uncle Ben's grave.
It's Arnold. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold.
But no, when I went home, Retro and I went up to go check out my collection because it's still at my parents' place, the vast majority of it. And my girlfriend says to me, "Oh, don't forget to go get Gremlins 2 for the NES because I want to play it."
That's a bit
because
of an
you never
obscure
known
one to
that
bring up.
there was a Gremlins game for the NES,
Yeah.
and not only that, but it's a good game.
Yeah.
You know, and she's a huge Gremlins fan because she loves Goonies and Gremlins and all the movies from that era, and she was genuinely wanted me to grab one of my old games so I could show it to her. So that kind of
that's pretty
warmed
cool.
my heart there too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I would like to see if somebody was ever like, "Oh, dude, you have like something like nobody knows. Like you have Juggernaut for the PS1." It's like, I do. All right.
Well, yeah. The retro was kind of like that about my Popful Mail and
I'm so envious.
Oh,
my Cobra.
Cobra Commandos.
No,
the Space Adventure Cobra.
Space Adventure Cobra.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got Popful Mail. I do not have Space Adventure Cobra.
Yeah. I even have the working designs guide for it for Popful Mail. So,
I picked that one up for you, like
Great gift.
at like the retro game store that's no longer around.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all I have for that topic as well. How about you guys? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can have closing remarks then. That's the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions. Keep it up because we need to keep having them. We're not as dry as we were, but we shouldn't get to the point where we're getting nervous. You guys keep participating. We love your questions. Once again, it's one of our favorite parts of doing the show here. Please keep us supplied by submitting questions to the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs up, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. That way we don't get depressed and just
and cry ourselves to sleep every night.
Let's keep it going for another year. Absolutely. You can catch us on Thursdays on our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth look at this weekend pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as VyseTheBold, VyseTheBold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, and Twitter.
And you can catch me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And if you would like to see my videos early, or get in on exclusive streams, or even select an upcoming game for me to play, then consider taking a look at my Patreon at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And Retro, do you want to make any?
I'm not on Twitter. I'm active on the Hardcore Gaming 101 forums, and I know there's an Irish forum as well, but I don't think I'm really be on that. But Boards.ie, I'm on, annoying people.
There you go. Yeah. And catch them on Battlegrounds as well.
Yeah, as Big Balls McGinty.
Big Balls McGinty.
Yeah. What?
That's amazing. You can really see it in that underwear. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that blindsided me.
That's a running joke out in work, so I just took the name.
That's great.
That was a workplace joke. Wow.
That's amazing.
You can hit me up on Steam as well on RetroGamer1337. That's retro with a 0.
Yeah, nice. So thanks for listening, everyone, and we will catch you on Thursday.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.